Some brand new developments today in the race for the White House as Mitt Romney is about to become the latest Republican presidential hopeful to meet with Donald Trump. Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, and Sarah Palin, who hasn't even announced whether she's running, have all sat down with the Donald. Fresh off his surprise win in the Florida straw poll, Herman Cain is also preparing for a meeting with the real estate mogul on Tuesday. Trump, who himself was mulling a run for the presidency, now seems to be enjoying his new role in the race as a kingmaker of sorts.
I'm looking at different people, and we're going to see what happens. But they have to make the right move. We have to get a president that's going to be a great president. Our country is in very, very serious trouble.
Well, the Democratic National Committee is taking notice as well, running this ad about Romney's upcoming meeting with Donald Trump today. Joining us now, David Drucker, staff writer for Roll Call. So is Donald Trump the Republican kingmaker, or is this just a publicity ploy on his part?
Well, I don't think he's a kingmaker by any stretch. I do think he speaks for some of the populist elements within the Republican Party right now that are upset with the current administration and are upset with many of the policies that have been coming out of Washington. So I do think in that regard, him saying nice things about a particular candidate could be somewhat helpful, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to vote for a particular candidate because Donald Trump says so.
What about contributions? Obviously, he's a wealthy guy, but individuals are limited as to how much they can contribute, right?
That's correct, John. However, Donald Trump, as many people in his income bracket, probably knows a lot of people with his kind of money. And so if he puts the word out to his circle that he'd like a particular candidate to get some help, then both the Donald and his friends could do some bundling for the eventual Republican candidate. And it doesn't hurt to go meet with somebody who, although it was brief and fleeting, was able to sort of pique the interest and the excitement of some voters, and you might be able to get some insight there. And don't forget, this is a man who definitely knows business and finance, even though he's went through a rough patch at one point in his career. And in terms of getting advice from him on what the economy needs for a turnaround, he clearly would have something intelligent to say.
Is there a potential downside, though, for some of these candidates? And I'm talking about more than we've seen the Democratic National Committee already trying to tie some of these candidates to Donald Trump, so, you know, using the "you're fired" line, that kind of thing. Is there another downside?
I don't really think so. I just think that we shouldn't inflate the upside. At the end of the day, this is a nice news bite today. Cain is in the news. This is helpful for him. Mitt Romney's in the news. Never hurts. Is Donald Trump going to move voters? Are you going to creep up in the polls? Are you going to win the nomination? Are you going to somehow have a new community of support because Donald Trump gives you his seal of approval? No, this is not his television show. There's nothing to win here if he says you're hired. But it's part of the nomination process and the campaign that you meet with individuals who are knowledgeable and who can get media attention on their own. It can't hurt.
And with a meeting coming up next Tuesday with Herman Cain, it's clear he's not going to be announcing some kind of endorsement of Mitt Romney today.
Oh, no, clearly not. And why would Donald Trump endorse somebody today? Because if he did, really, would Fox News and Fox and Friends call him every Monday and ask him what he thinks about the presidential campaign? Probably not as often. But as long as he is out there, and by the way, I'm not criticizing, but if you look at it from Donald Trump's point of view, as long as his endorsement is up for grabs, then it's much more interesting to find out what he's thinking week to week about the race.
It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure. David Drucker from Roll Call, thank you.